And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, director at WEIU Radio and TV. We got a full house today. We have in the studio, we have Dr. Alicia Neal from the EIU Director of Band. So welcome, Dr. Neal.
Thanks for having me.
We have Jennifer Sees, Director of the Tarble Arts Center. Welcome.
Hi, thanks.
We have Dr. Stephen Daniels, Department Chair and Professor of Physics.
Thank you very much.
And in the middle, Dr. Barbara Bonnekessen, the Professor and the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences here at EIU.
Thank you so much for having us here.
I appreciate you all for being here. We are going to start with Dr. Neal because she has to go teach a class. So why don't we just talk about a little bit what the band's doing and what you have planned, and that way you can do what you do best here at EIU. So.
All right. Thank you so much. We have two concerts this semester that I'm really excited for everybody to be aware of. The first one will take place on Friday, October 6th at 7:30 p.m. in the Dvorak Concert Hall. You can get tickets on downatix.eiu or .edu. The first concert is actually taking place on the 25th anniversary of the beating of Matthew Shepard. And I came to the realization that after talking to my students about this, they had no idea what that was. And this is why it's important that we, through the arts, when we have an opportunity to kind of present this to the next generation and have them understand kind of what happened. So we'll be paying tribute to him, and the actual concert date is the day he was beaten. He died several days later. But he was a 21-year-old gay college student attending the University of Wyoming, for those who may not know. He was beaten by two men because he was gay. Matt died 6 days later of a traumatic brain injury. His murder resulted in Barack Obama signing into law the hate crime legislative act called the Matthew Shepard Act. So you may have heard of that. And so I felt it was important that we take a moment and pay tribute to him. And also another civil rights pioneer, Marsha P. Johnson, a transgender woman who was one of the leading gay rights leaders in New York City during the 60s and 70s and had a lot to do with helping during the 80s AIDS epidemic. So anyway, I thought we would do a concert to kind of honor those folks.
When you were deciding how to do that and why to do that, can you take us through the process?
Yeah, sure. Well, I usually when I'm programming, I do my programming over the summer for the next academic year, and so I look at important anniversaries and I kind of go online and just kind of see what's going on around the world, in the country, in colleges, universities, education trends, and I try to kind of link something that we do to some of those anniversaries. Okay. I think are important.
That's good. So you already start working on next year in your mind a little bit, or
a little bit.
There you go. So, all right. Anything else you want to touch on?
Yes, we do have one more concert that I'm excited to mention. It comes on the heels of President Jay Gatrell's investiture ceremony, which takes place on November 15th. And the day after that, he will be reading the words of Abraham Lincoln along with the Wind Symphony in a wonderful piece by Aaron Copland titled Lincoln Portrait. So he'll be on the microphone. The students will be playing behind him. And the entire concert is basically kind of deals with leadership, and the subtitle for the concert is Leaders Among Us, a celebration of American music and leadership. And so I thought having that concert with with Dr. Gatrell on it would be a great way to kind of get him into the fold and enjoy the rest of his investiture week.
That's a good idea. It makes that a little bit more special for everybody. So, well, thanks for coming in. I know you need to go teach, so we usually don't let people go, but we're going to let you go.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My students thank you, too.
Well, man, we'll see. That's Dr. Neal. Thank you so much. And best of luck for the EIU Director of Bands, and all that stuff's online at Dowden if you need to. Dr. Bonnekessen wanted to give a little bit of talk in general before we got into some details about the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, so we'll let you have the mic.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows why we're so happy with enrollment this particular semester. We have a fantastic increase in international students. Our international countries represented now are up to 60, and the college itself actually have increased our number of first-year students. So we are, as you know, the biggest and most complex college on the EIU campus. We have 17 departments, the Doudna Fine Arts Center and the Tarble Arts Museum. We have over 2,000 undergraduate students, 500 graduate students, over 200 faculty members, most of whom are tenure track or are already tenured, and they're very active in research and creative endeavors and also scholarship. So, and as you have just heard from Dr. Neal, we take our mission of teaching people about the world very seriously. And so all of our faculty are invested to making sure that our students do not just learn about their specific major, but they also learn in general education, for example, about the world that they are inheriting overall, and that they become very, very conscious and conscientious citizens of the world. And this is going to make them very successful. This is also going to make them very attractive to employers. Most employers these days are looking for soft skills. They're looking for people who are able to engage in critical thinking, have multiple languages, can think outside the box, and most of all can work with other people regardless of their own group membership. And our college prepares our students for that. And so we're very proud of all of our faculty for doing that, Dr. Neal as one example. And we're also proud of the many, many students who graduate and who come back to homecoming or come back as donors who continue to support the college and EIU overall.
As the dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, how do you keep track of so many departments? I mean, that's got to be a tough job.
I have a fantastic team. I actually have 2 associate deans. One of them is responsible for all the sciences, natural and social, as well as engineering and mathematics.
Okay.
And then the other dean is responsible for all the arts and the humanities. And they help me stay knowledgeable about what is going on. And although we are distributed over so many different buildings on campus, our chairs come and visit regularly. We have regular meetings, of course, and I meet with the departments and the chairs one-on-one as well. And I keep telling our faculty and our chairs, our doors are always open. And they know we have a fantastic office in the Doudna. So anytime you need to chat with us or you want to just have a chat, come on up and we'll give you a coffee or tea and we'll have a conversation.
That's good. We'll start with Jennifer, if you don't mind, Dr. Daniels. Tarble Arts, right next here to I guess you're our neighbors here at WEIU. So, and tell us a little bit about when you started and your duties over there.
Sure. Thanks for having me on so I can share a little bit more. The Tarble Arts Center, your neighbor right next door, is the teaching museum on campus here. And so we serve students and faculty on campus, but we also serve the larger community through exhibitions and programming. And we split that up through 3 different exhibition cycles. So our fall exhibition cycle will be opening on Friday from 5 to 7. And that will take us through to January and feature a really interesting exhibition that I can tell you a little bit more about. And then in the winter, we focus on having an artist in residence who actually comes and turns one of our galleries into a working studio, so the public can come through and see what it looks like for an artist to be creating a body of work and talk a little bit with the artist. We also feature K through 12 artists during that time. Many of them feature EIU students. And then our spring exhibition cycle does feature our students here on campus, both undergraduate and graduate.
Okay. We'll get into some details on that in a minute.
Yeah.
Dr. Daniels, Department Chair and Professor for Physics. I'm telling you, I've talked too much today. You've got a lot going on. You got some neat pictures as well. So we'll get into some of the stuff that you want to talk about today, including an upcoming eclipse, right?
Yes. On April 8th of next year, we have a special day at EIU. There will be, at just about 2 p.m., there will be a solar eclipse. And a solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, casting the moon's shadow across the earth. When the moon's orbit brings it in between the sun and the earth, there's the possibility, but the problem is the moon is actually, its orbit is tilted about 5 degrees to the sun's, to the earth's orbit. So it isn't every single time that it passes that you get an eclipse. It's actually a lot more complicated. And so a solar eclipse happens somewhere on Earth about once every 18 months.
Okay.
However, if you're looking at a particular place like Charleston, it's actually going to be fairly rare, about once every 375 years, turns out. Now, that being said, Charleston was very close on August 21st, 2017, as some of your viewers might remember. We had an event there when we had a solar eclipse then. And in fact, there was even another one on May 10th, 1994, that was an annular solar eclipse, which means that the moon didn't quite cover the whole sun. It was close, but not quite. But we have been fairly close 3 times in the last 30 years, which is kind of amazing. This time, we again won't be quite in the path of the total solar eclipse. We'll get about 99.62% of the sun covered. Pretty close.
I
but
feel
not
good about
quite.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but not quite there. And so, but you only have to go a few miles away to get into an area where there is totality, and you would get a total solar eclipse. But we will, just like we did in 2017, we're going to have a celebration. We're going to have talks beforehand to try to tell people about the science and the event and what goes on with solar eclipses and all that. And we'll have plenty of activities on the day of the eclipse.
And Barbara had said that she really wants to reinvigorate, or the process of reinvigoration of the astronomy department. So how do you tie that in?
Well, I think one of the most successful and impactful things we can do is show and tell. So we can bring people on campus, like we had people visiting during for the community picnic last Saturday. And so our biology department had Boudica and Slagasaur, a tortoise, and a bearded dragon. So a lot of the children might have never met any of these animals, and so now they know about that. We had theater performing, we had chemistry doing experiments, art doing drawing. So, and then bringing people in for the eclipse is one of our most, I think, going to be one of our most impactful show and tells, because how often do you have an opportunity to go into a real life observatory and have all these experts around you telling you what you're seeing, what you're experiencing? We will make sure that we have safety glasses for that opportunity, of course. Don't look at the solar eclipse with the naked eye. It's really meant to make sure that everybody in Charleston, Mattoon, and the region understands that we are the regional university. We're here for everybody. You don't have to work here or take specific classes. We have things that go on, like music, theater, art, all the time, and we really welcome the opportunity to show off to the to people in this area.
That's a good answer. It's a really good answer. Dr. Daniels, I asked you a question. A few weeks ago, there was this blue moon thing that happened, and I was one of the ones that was mad because I thought it was going to be a blue moon, but that's just what it's called. So explain what happened and where people maybe got a little misidentified with the blue moon thing.
Well, the blue moon is when there's a full moon twice in the same month, and it happens just because of the calendar more than anything else. But yeah, it is kind of an unusual event, and so since it was relatively unusual, that's what they.
And it was real. The moon was unbelievable those few days. It was incredible. It was so low in the sky, and so how do you then do you work that into your classes over there, or in the program?
Yes, we do have an astronomy course, but we also try to hold the observatory open to the public on last Friday of every month. We have an open house for that. And for the eclipse, we're very excited. This will be the first time we have a new solar telescope that is designed for looking at the sun that will be up and running at that point, and we should be able to get some very good pictures of that. But we'll also, another part of the excitement is we're going to have some other telescopes set up out in the field that we'll be able to see very well that way. And there are some other ways that you can look at the sun in an eclipse situation that'll make for really cool pictures.
And did you say what time that'll happen around here?
It's about 2 o'clock.
2 in the afternoon?
Yeah, on April 8th. Okay,
we'll get back to you in a minute. Let's jump over to Tarble again. You said there's three different time frames. Why don't we talk about the first time frame, what people can expect at Tarble?
Sure. Well, I'll link it to the moon a little bit.
Okay.
We celebrate the moon twice a month at the Tarble. Ahead of each full moon, we have a full moon sound bath in which Tina Loafman comes in and plays crystal bowls, and there's a meditation. And then the morning after every new moon, we have yoga, often outside at the Tarble. We just started that this year. So while we're thinking about the moon, I just wanted to plug those programs.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
All good.
And of course, we know the moon also influences our tides of the oceans. So it kind of ties into our one of the fall exhibitions that we're the most proud of, called Who Speaks for the Oceans. And it's a partnership. The exhibition was organized by me as well as another curator, Elena Claire Feldman, and also a marine biologist, Dr. David Gruber. And Dr. Gruber's research has gotten a little bit of attention recently. He had a profile in the New Yorker talking about his Project SETI, which is working on translating the vocalizations of sperm whales, which is so interesting to me. And the impetus of the exhibition comes from the discovery of humpback whale vocalizations, which a lot of us have heard. They're often called whale songs. They were discovered by Roger Payne in the 60s and then distributed pretty widely by National Geographic in the form of a vinyl record in the 70s. Which in turn led to the Save the Whales campaign, which some of us might remember becoming popular in the 80s. And that record was played on the floor of Congress in 1985, which in part led to a moratorium on whale hunting and killing. And so the exhibition sort of starts from that point and explores archival materials from National Geographic and from Greenpeace, but also contemporary art and artists that are exploring how art, technology, and science work together to influence our understanding and communication, and perhaps even activism and legislation around communication with non-human animals, especially whales.
That was quite an answer there. So do you want to go on to the second part of the middle part of your programs?
Well, there's a lot of programs that will happen this fall in
Okay.
relationship to that. So the artwork will be on view until January, but we plan a lot of activities to help people engage with the artwork on view. And so starting out on Friday night, our colleague here in the music department, Brad Decker, has collaborated with a couple of the artists in the show to create this activation of a sound installation. And so essentially there are a set of instruments which were commissioned specifically for this show at the Tarble. They're blown glass bells, and the clapper of the bell is actually a fossilized ear bone from an extinct whale. Not an instrument that you find very often.
I think not, no.
Yeah, pretty unusual. And so we've enlisted the help of Brad Decker, who's an electronic composer, to help us activate them on Friday. And he has written a algorithm, and the computer will perform this algorithm and will be playing the bells that night. So there'll be these little electronic piazzos attached to or sitting on each bell, and they'll vibrate according to what the computer tells them to do and create sound. So none of us have heard this yet. It'll be a surprise to all of us, but this is one of the ways that we like to work at the Tarble, is inviting artists to try some experimental things and share that with an audience. So if you come on Friday, you'll get to experience that. And then the following 2 Saturdays, September 23rd and 30th, we have a family day planned with activities for all ages. There'll be a play area for very young children. We're collaborating with the Coles County Arts Council to have an activity for elementary school aged kids in our education lab. We'll have a zine making workshop for ages 12 and up. And then our visiting artist, Hadley Clark, will come in to do a listening and mending workshop with ages 16 and up. So 16 and up to adult can come in and bring an article of clothing that they'd like to mend. And Hadley will be leading a workshop that talks about mending and sewing as activities related to listening. And she'll also talk a lot about the impact of fashion and the fashion world on the environment and the Earth's waterways, which is important to the exhibition.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And that's just a few weeks into September. Dr. Bonnekessen, when you hear these stories about what your department's doing, it's got to make you feel proud, right?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that I feel is most important is not only that all our departments, all our faculty are very successful in their own fields, but it's also important to see how they all collaborate. So Jennifer was talking about Brad Decker. She's been working with music. She's also working with the art and design department. She has been working with the history department, and so they're all, and biology, I believe. So there are all these ways in which the different departments can interact with each other, and I'm very much looking forward to our celebration of the eclipse, because that again will lend itself to reaching out to historians, to reaching out to artists. And really making sure that we all understand that every single topic in the world can be informed by so many different sciences and the humanities. And our full understanding really depends on reaching out to these very different ways of creating knowledge and increasing our understanding of the world.
Now, the other thing that you've done recently, you've hired Mr. Scott Burnsmier as your new development director, and he's here. So I'm going to have him move over to this chair because we didn't know for sure who all was coming today. And since you're here, Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot and talk about when you hear the stuff. And welcome to EIU. And we've known each other before EIU, but talk about your job and your experiences so far.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to say that being a 2000 alum, I love EIU. It's great to be back home. It's a great opportunity to work, as you're hearing today, tremendous professionals. I mean, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences it's going to be a biased comment, but it's second to none on campus. You're going to touch everything that you will do in the quote-unquote real world. When you come to one of them, you're going to get an experience that is not just Central Illinois, but you're going to get a worldwide experience, just as Barbara had kind of touched base on. My role is to really kind of enhance and help them develop the various programs through scholarships, endowments, and also look for ways that we can fund projects and we can enhance the departments.
Very
For
good
sure.
answer.
Yep.
Dr. Daniels, did you have some more stuff on your list that you want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. We'll put you up next. I'm trying to equal time it as much as possible.
I have more than one hat. I'm also the coordinator for the electrical engineering program,
Okay.
which is, we started back in about 70 years ago. We were already doing pre-engineering, and we've used that to springboard into electrical engineering and making it a 4-year program. In 2017, we started developing that, and in 2020, we got our first students, and we have been working with those students. And in fact, this past May, we graduated the first 3 students in electrical engineering from Eastern Illinois, and all 3 are fully employed in good jobs.
Kudos,
and they're doing
that's
just
good.
fine. And this year, we're working on getting fully accredited with the organization called ABET, which is the National Accrediting Organization. But we continue to grow. We're hitting the milestones that we're trying to. We've developed a good curriculum that we think covers electrical engineering very well for all 4 years. Our students have been getting good internships and working in companies fairly regularly at this point. We've been able to do research experiences for our students. And so our students are well prepared in electrical engineering to do things in the real world as they do graduate. Additionally, more excitement, we have been talking with the computer science people over in the math department to develop a computer engineering, as we got a lot of inquiries about that.
Yeah.
And so we're developing a computer engineering program too, and someday we may have an engineering college.
There you go. EIU continues to do great things. And the Humanities Center is unbelievable. It's what most people call it second to none in the state of Illinois, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think all the parts of the college work very, very well by themselves as well as with each other. And it is, like you said before, sometimes hard to keep track. So we have a lovely Facebook page. If your listeners would like to follow us and see our faculty success and what our students are up to, we try to keep the world informed.
Yeah, I saw some of where the alumni were and jobs and things. That was really neat on your. We like to do that as well, just so people can keep up to it. So we have about 4.5 minutes left. So I don't know where you want to go. Do you have some more things you want to talk about, Tarble, over here?
Sure, I'd
All right.
love to.
Well, hit us with a couple more.
We're actually working with the Center of Humanities on a symposium that will happen in relationship to the exhibition. And my co-curators that I mentioned before will be coming in, and Dr. Gruber will be the keynote presenter for that symposium, which is called Ultramarine, a cross-disciplinary symposium on empathy. So we'll be looking at empathy in relationship to the work of Dr. Gruber, but also some of the visual artists included in the exhibition, but also people on campus. So we'll have faculty in the areas of sociology, communications, English, that will be presenting their research in relationship to empathy. And then we'll end the semester with a really fun performance that anyone can participate in. So I hope everyone here will come be a participant. It will be led by the students, freshman students in my class that has the same name as the exhibition, Who Speaks for the Oceans. These are honors students coming from all different disciplines. I have a lot of music students. I have a lot of nursing students. They're going to lead an echolocation performance that was developed by an important art historical composer, Alvin Lucier. And we're going to turn all the lights off, and we have some little sound-making devices, and we're going to find our ways around the gallery in the dark. So I hope all of you will come for that. That's in December.
That'd be interesting. I know I'd break something.
I'm most certainly going to break something. I guarantee it.
Oh, you're the new guy. Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
can do that, right? There you go. Anything else? A couple minutes left here.
Well, I think when you come to our campus, there's always something going on. I always tell prospective students or prospective faculty members that you cannot get bored in Charleston. There's always something going on at EIU. This is my 4th year here, and I am very happy to be here. I think our college is, like you said before, second to none. We have fantastic faculty from around the U.S. and abroad. We have fantastic students, and we are, I think, one of the more vibrant places that I've ever been to. So I really appreciate being here at EIU, and I appreciate you making the time for us this morning as well.
I've learned a lot of stuff. The one thing I want to ask about is when the alumni come back to Tarble, the Science Center or wherever, what kind of feedback do you get from the alumni when they see what EIU looks like now and they may be gone for a few years? Anybody have any ideas?
Well, we had our 15-year gala for the renovation of the Doudna just about a weekend ago. And so we had a lot of people coming back, a former president, a lot of former directors of the Doudna, and a lot of alumni who are still in the area. And so everybody was quite excited to be back for that and to come back to campus to see what new things have happened since they've left. And homecoming, of course, is just around the corner, so we'll get people from farther away as well. And I know they're always happy to come back, renew old friendships, run into maybe faculty that they've taken classes from, and it's, I think, something that people look forward to do at least once a year for homecoming, or maybe multiple times if they're in the area and can come to some of our performances.
We didn't touch on Doudna too much, but I have Dennis Mallett coming in a few weeks for an Issues and Attitudes, so that's kind of why we weren't ignoring the great wonder that is Doudna, but Dennis will be here in a few weeks, and we're going to talk about all his fall programming and spring programming. A little bit of time left. Do you have the alumni thought there? Or?
Yeah, when we were closed in 2020, the Tarble did a major renovation. So when people come back, they're often really surprised just to see how different the spaces look. And if they were a student who exhibited their work, they're also a little bit mad that their work doesn't look as good as the work does now that we have these beautiful new spaces. And I'll just say that anyone who is interested in our programming can visit www.tarbleartscenter.org to see more about our programs.
We are out of time, but I appreciate everybody coming in, all the guests from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. It was so great to meet you and so good to see you again. And have a great week and have a great semester here at EIU. Thank you all.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeff.
We are WEIU.